Why most people stay broke and how you break free. They say the chains that hold a man down are often invisible. Not forged in steel, but in thought inherited beliefs, passed down fears, and unchallenged limitations. And most people never question the prison they were born into. They decorate it, they call it reality. They call it being practical. But it's a cell. A well-kept cage built from excuses, comfort, and fear masquerading as wisdom. Most people stay broke because they're too proud to admit they've been lied to and too afraid to imagine something more. They follow the script handed to them at birth: go to school, obey authority, get good grades, settle for a job, wait for promotions, retire quietly, and then die with dreams unfulfilled and music still playing in their chest. That's not a life. That's a slow, sanctioned decay. The spiritual poverty that breeds financial poverty. Because you cannot earn in the physical world what your mind rejects in the spiritual one. Henry Ford once said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. He wasn't being poetic. He was giving you the entire secret in a single sentence. The reason most people stay broke isn't lack of money, it's lack of belief, lack of hunger, lack of obsession. When Thomas Edison failed for the 1000th time trying to invent the light bulb, people thought he was mad. But he wasn't failing, he was refining. He was chiseling his vision against the grain of resistance. That's the price of greatness. Broke thinkers give up at the first no. Wealthy minds build empires from rejection. The broke seek approval. The free seek progress. You see, real wealth isn't about stacking cash. It's about stacking courage. It's about self-ownership. It's about the fire inside that says, I will not die with my potential locked inside me. But you were never taught that. They didn't teach you how to create. They taught you how to comply. And so you became a cog in a machine you didn't design. Clocking in, clocking out. Trading your time, your one and only life, for a wage that barely keeps your soul breathing. You don't need more hours, you need more power. And power begins with awareness. Look around. Who profits from your smallness? Who gains when you play it safe? When you settle for less, it isn't just you who suffers, your family suffers. Your children suffer. No. The world suffers because you were supposed to become something they could believe in. But let me tell you this, poverty ends the moment you stop thinking like a slave. Break the chain. Smash the script. You do not exist to make ends meet. You exist to make a mark, to build, to stretch, to expand until the world recognizes your name, not because you screamed for attention, but because you moved in purpose. Now listen, every legend you've ever admired, Carnegie, Lincoln, Jobs, Oprah, Mandela, they all started with nothing except vision. And vision is the currency of the rich. It is the seed from which all fortunes grow. Not money, not luck, not connections. Vision. Most people are broke because they're blind. They've never asked the question, what do I truly want? They ask what they can afford, not what they're capable of. They limit their dreams to the size of their bank account, not the size of their spirit. But here's the brutal truth, you will never rise above the identity you carry in your mind. If you see yourself as poor, weak, stuck, unlucky, that is exactly the life you will create. It's not magic, it's mechanics. You become the ideas you rehearse daily and the beliefs you cradle like gospel. Don't speak poverty into your own destiny every time you say, I can't, or that's just how it is. But greatness doesn't care where you were born. Destiny doesn't ask for permission. It waits impatiently for you to wake up. So the question is, when will you stop sleeping? Not the kind of sleep that happens at night, but the kind that happens in broad daylight, the sleep of average minds. The numbness of conformity, the fog of passive living. You were born awake. You were born wild. You were born with something to say, something to build, something to become. But you were tamed, softened, rewired to fear failure more than mediocrity. And that is the real poverty. You want to break free? You want to stop being broke? Then kill the version of yourself that lives in fear. Don't bury the voice that tells you to play small. Don't burn the bridges that lead back to your comfort zone. Comfort is a slow death. And wealth, real, sustainable, soul-deep wealth, lives on the edge of discomfort. It lives in the decision to do the hard thing when no one's watching. To build when you have no blueprint. To believe when there is no evidence. To act when there is no guarantee. People say, I'll believe it when I see it. Winners say, I'll see it when I believe it. Most people never make it past the starting line because they want certainty before action. They want guarantees before they leap. But freedom was never handed out with warranties. Wealth doesn't wait for you to be ready. It rewards those who move when they're not. When you take the first step in faith, the path reveals itself. Andrew Carnegie didn't wait for permission. He walked into America with nothing but determination and ended up controlling more wealth than entire nations. Why? Because he thought differently. He thought abundantly. He refused to let his present circumstances define his future capabilities. That's the divide, the razor-thin line between the broke and the free, decisiveness. Most people stay broke because they spend their whole life hesitating, overthinking, analyzing, waiting for the right time. But the right time doesn't exist. There's only now. And every time you postpone, you reinforce the lie that you are not enough. Every time you delay your dream, you are voting against yourself. The rich don't wait for motivation, they operate from discipline, from vision, from purpose. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is liberation. It is the daily act of choosing your future over your feelings. And this is why most will never taste freedom, because they worship comfort and reject sacrifice. They want results without struggle, harvest without planting, success without sweat. But you can't download success. You can't scroll your way into greatness. You build it brick by brick, decision by decision, day by day. And every day you choose to show up when it's hard. Every day you move forward when it's easier to retreat, you are rising. You are rewriting the story they gave you. You are choosing freedom. And let me tell you, freedom doesn't feel safe at first. It feels like walking a tightrope in a storm, like building a bridge as you cross it. But it is better to fall in the direction of your dream than to rot standing still in someone else's idea of who you should be. The truth is, most people stay broke because they spend more time consuming than creating, more time watching than working, more time envying than evolving. They spend hours scrolling past other people's lives while their own potential sits in silence, waiting. But wealth flows to those who produce, who create, who solve problems, who show up with something of value. The question isn't, how can I get rich? The question is, how can I serve, build, contribute so powerfully that money must find me? That's the mindset shift. From scarcity to value. From victim to creator. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. Imagine that. Fired for a lack of imagination. And yet he imagined entire worlds. Built an empire on belief. He saw castles in the clouds while the rest saw only deadlines and paychecks. You can't live rich with a poor vision. Change your internal reality, and your external world will follow. Change how you think, and your world will change with it. That's not theory. That's physics of the mind. Do you want to break free? Then you must first define what freedom means to you. Not someone else's version. Yours? Is it the ability to choose how you spend your time? To live life on your terms? To take care of your family without fear? To build something bigger than yourself? Define it. Get crystal clear, because clarity is the birth of momentum. You cannot hit a target you cannot see. Most people stay broke because they have fuzzy goals, blurry dreams, vague intentions, and vague intentions produce vague results. Clarity creates hunger. Hunger creates action. Action creates results. And results build belief. That is the cycle of transformation. But it starts with a bold decision to want more. You are not greedy for wanting abundance. You are not selfish for desiring wealth. You are not arrogant for wanting a life that reflects your highest potential. You are alive. And to be truly alive is to crave expansion, to push limits, to grow until there is no part of you that shrinks to fit the mold they tried to force on you. You were not born to struggle. You were not built for survival mode. You were created to thrive, to dominate, to leave a mark so deep that even time cannot erase it. But that only happens when you stop playing games with your destiny. When you stop dipping your toes in and start diving headfirst into the fire of your purpose. Break the pattern. Stop waiting for a rescue and become your own revolution. Do not ask for less struggle, ask for more strength. Do not wish for easy, train for powerful. The weight on your shoulders is not a curse, it's the very pressure that will sculpt the champion inside of you. So if you're tired of being broke financially, mentally, emotionally, it's time to fight back. Not with fists, but with focus. And not with rage, but with resolve. Not with complaint, but with command. Have command over your thoughts. Command over your time. Command over your energy. That is how wealth is built from within out. No one is coming to save you, but the moment you realize that is the moment you become unstoppable. Most people will never understand this because they've been conditioned to fear their own power, conditioned to believe that wanting more is dangerous, that dreaming big is unrealistic, that breaking free is selfish. But listen closely, there is nothing noble about staying small. There is no honor in living a life of quiet desperation just to make others comfortable. The world doesn't need more martyrs. It needs more leaders, more creators, more individuals willing to break the mold and show others what's possible. And that starts with reclaiming your mind. Because the battlefield isn't out there, it's in here. Inside your head. Inside your beliefs. Inside the invisible scripts playing on repeat that say, you're not enough, that's too risky, who do you think you are? Burn them. Replace them with the truth. You are capable. You are worthy. You are powerful beyond comprehension. This is not motivational fluff. This is psychological warfare. And the enemy isn't some politician or institution, it's the voice in your head that's been whispering lies for far too long. But the good news? That voice can be silenced, overwritten, reprogrammed. Just like a computer virus, bad beliefs can be removed, but only if you take control of the system. And how do you do that? By guarding your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. You must choose your thoughts like you choose your friends, carefully, intentionally, ruthlessly. If a thought doesn't serve your vision, it gets no room in your mental palace. Because thoughts become patterns. Patterns become behavior. Behavior becomes habit. Habit becomes lifestyle. And lifestyle becomes destiny. Every wealthy person you admire, every high performer, every world changer, they mastered this one truth. Guard the gates of your mind, or someone else will walk in and build their empire inside your brain. You want to break free? Then you must begin to think differently before you ever live differently. You adopt the mindset of the builder, the warrior, the architect of destiny. Start seeing yourself not as a victim of circumstance, but as a force of nature. A storm with intention. A soul too bold to settle. And when setbacks come, and they will, you meet them not with despair, but with defiance. You say, good, I needed this. Let's sharpen the sword. Because that's what the few do. That's what the rich in spirit understand. Failure is just feedback. Resistance is just weight training for your spirit. Look at Abraham Lincoln. He failed in business, lost elections, faced breakdowns. But he kept showing up, kept fighting. And because of that unbreakable will, the world changed. Broke minds run from hardship. Wealthy souls run toward it because they know that on the other side of struggle is sovereignty. So build your mental armor. Train your emotional muscles. Stop reacting and start responding. Because wealth isn't just what you have, it's what you hold under pressure. Old vision under pressure. Old belief under pressure. Old discipline under pressure. This is the rarest form of strength, and the internal fire that keeps burning long after the crowd has gone home. Long after the applause fades. Long after the world says you should give up. And that is where most people fail. They want motivation. They want hype. But what they need is identity shift. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your standards. And most people's standards are subterranean. And raise them to set a new baseline, one where average is unacceptable, one where excuses have no place, one where integrity with yourself becomes sacred. Because the truth is, you don't get what you want, you get what you expect. It's what you demand from yourself in silence when no one's watching. Want to stop being broke? Then stop being broke with yourself. Stop cheating your own potential. Stop abandoning your vision every time it gets uncomfortable. Start showing up with the intensity of someone who knows the clock is ticking. Because it is. You don't have time to waste. Not another day, and not another excuse. Not another round of I'll start Monday. Start now. Build now. Sacrifice now. Because regret doesn't show up in your 20s. It shows up in your 60s. In the quiet moments, in the mirror, in the silence between breaths when you realize you played it safe and life passed you by. But that doesn't have to be your story. You still have time. Time to wake up. Time to reinvent. Time to build a life that feels like freedom, not survival. So rise. Rise from the ashes of who you used to be. Rise with the full force of your birthright. Not timid, not tentative, but full-throated, full force, full belief. Burn the map they gave you. It was never yours. Draw your own. And with your values, your vision, your rules. Because this is not just about money, it's about mastery. It's about claiming the life that was meant for you, not the one the world tried to hand you. You want to know why most people stay broke? Because they never make this decision. But now you know. And now you have a choice. So now we stand at the crossroads. One road is well-worn, familiar, safe. It's the path most people take, the path of resignation. It's paved with comfort, excuses, and the bitter illusion that maybe someday things will change. That path leads to quiet desperation, to dreams deferred, to the kind of poverty no amount of charity can fix the poverty of purpose. But the other road? The other road is fire. It's risk. It's accountability. It's raw, unfiltered truth. It demands everything and promises nothing except the chance. And the chance to become fully alive. The chance to reclaim your voice, your time, your story. And the chance to leave behind not just survival, but smallness itself. That is the road the few take. The rare ones. The ones who know they were born for more, even if no one else ever told them. And now that includes you. This moment isn't random. It's not just another video. This is your call to arms, your awakening. Because if you've listened this far, it means you're already done with the excuses. You're done pretending you're okay living paycheck to paycheck mentally, spiritually, emotionally. You're done watching from the sidelines while others build legacies, write history, and shape reality. You want your freedom. You want your fight back. Then take it. Don't ask for it. Don't wait for permission. Claim it like your life depends on it, because it does. Tear off the labels, tear off the guilt, tear off the fear they stitched into your soul when they told you be realistic. When they told you stay in your lane. When they laughed at your dream, scoffed at your ambition, or shrugged when you said, I want more. Let that fuel you. Let every no become rocket fuel. Let every failure become bricks in your fortress. Let every delay teach you patience, and every rejection teach you resilience. Because you are the anomaly. You are the one who said enough. Enough watching your potential rot under the weight of fear. It's enough letting trauma make your decisions. It's enough shrinking to make others feel comfortable. You were not born to dim your light, you were born to blind the world with it. So become obsessed. Obsessed with growth. Obsessed with rising. Obsessed with the version of you who already lives the life you dream of. I feel him, hear her, see them, because they are real. That version of you already exists. And not in the future, but in your next decision. Decide to think like them. Decide to move like them. Decide to suffer now for a freedom that lasts forever. Because freedom is not a gift, it's a conquest. And this world does not give it away freely. It demands sweat, sacrifice, and soul. But it is worth it. It is worth every early morning, every lonely night, every rejection, every sacrifice. Because when you taste the fire of becoming, when you look back and realize you turn pain into power, confusion into clarity, fear into fuel, there is no going back. You were not sent here to repeat the past. You were sent here to disrupt it. You were not born to be broke in money, in mind, or in spirit. You were born to overflow, to expand so far past your current limits that your old self wouldn't recognize you. So now it's time. Time to rise. Time to lead. Time to break free. No more waiting. No more wishing. No more wondering. You know what to do. Now do it like everything depends on you, because it does. And when they ask you how you did it, how you went from broke, broken, and overlooked to powerful, prosperous, and unstoppable, you look them dead in the eye and say, I stopped living in fear. I took control of my mind. And I decided to break free. And then you walk off, free, unshaken, unstoppable, and finally whole.